So today in this video, I'll be comparing the life in Toronto and Calgary. I've lived in these two cities, so I'll be comparing the pros and cons. And in the second part of the video, I'll be comparing the immigration in Alberta and Ontario. Which one is easier to get PR in? What's up YouTube, and welcome to this new episode of Easy Canada channel. For those who don't know me, I am Ziad Sali. Last year I graduated as an immigration consultant here in Canada, and I'm doing videos related to Canadian immigration and life in Canada, as I've lived in 7 big cities in Canada. And today I'll be comparing the biggest city of Canada, Toronto, and the city where I live right now, Calgary. I've lived in Toronto in 2018 for 1 year. I tried downtown, North York, Scarborough and Markham. In Calgary, I've mostly stayed in downtown. As I said, in the second part, I will talk about immigration, but let's start about Calgary versus Toronto. In Ontario, I've lived in Ottawa, but in this video, I'll focus more in Toronto. As you may know, most of immigrants, when they move to Canada, they choose Toronto. It is understandable because when you look at the job market, most of the jobs in Canada are there. Most of Canadian headquarters are there. Some people in the world only know Toronto in Canada, or a little bit less Montreal. And also Toronto is the most diverse city in the world. Because of that, many people move there. Now for myself, I moved there because I wanted to change. Just left my work in Montreal at that time. I moved there. And I did the same for Quebec City, Calgary, Vancouver, Ottawa. So basically, I like that lifestyle. Now, is Toronto worth moving to? Okay, now if you are single, you like a city where there is many activities, festivals, amazing nightlife, Toronto is the best in Canada. You will never get bored there. However, if you are like that introvert kind of person, you like staying home, don't care much about outdoors, don't care much about nightlife, I don't think Toronto is the best. You will tell me yes, but most of the jobs are there. In my own experience, Toronto wasn't the easiest to find a job for me. Yes, there are many jobs. There's a huge competition there, and I was having easier time in Montreal. Yes, I speak French, but I was having easier time to find a job in Montreal. Another big drawback of living in Toronto is how expensive and how stressful the city. So for example, Vancouver is an expensive city, but it is not as stressful as in Toronto. There is traffic 24 hours, and that's normal because it's the most populated city in Canada. Now let's talk about Calgary. Calgary is the biggest city in Alberta. Calgary have one of the best quality of life I've ever seen, because even before living in Canada, I've lived in Paris, in France, and Tunisia, my country. Quality of life in Calgary is amazing. The city is so clean. It is the 4th biggest city of Canada, and even with that, you don't get stuck in traffic because roads are big here. That is a big advantage. The public transportation in downtown is free. Alberta also have the lowest tax in Canada. In fact, they don't have a provincial tax. They only have the federal tax. Another thing about the weather in Calgary is way better than Toronto, because first they have what they call Chinook. So the winter here is 1 week cold, 1 week hot. We have some break. Toronto, it's cold all the time. Also here it's a dry cold, so you don't feel it. A -20 here feels like -10 in Toronto. Now, 2 main disadvantages of living in Calgary. The first one is there is no much entertainment option. See, as I said, in Toronto, you will never get bored. Here, you can feel bored, especially if you are like young and you want to enjoy your single life. There's way less option here. But still, it's not dead. It is still the 4th biggest city of Canada. The second thing is the unemployment rate. So before moving here, I saw the unemployment rate, but when I came here, I felt it like it is harder here to find a job compared to Toronto. So even though Toronto is competitive, here it's really hard sometimes to get a job. And even if you want to drive as an Uber, you will get less money because there is more Uber drivers for the population. Same for delivery jobs. The only thing that is more here is like the gas and oil jobs. Now let's dive into the immigration. Let's start with Ontario. There is one big advantage of immigration in Ontario is for people who graduated there in a master's degree or PhD. The province offers them to get a nomination without having a job offer. But in order to get that, you have first lived in Ontario 1 year in the 2 previous years, having a level 7 language skills, whether French or English. Study it full-time for at least 1 year. Be in Ontario when applying or be outside of Canada. But it's forbidden to be in Canada outside of Ontario. The other option, if you want to have the nomination of Ontario, you need to have a job offer. Good thing is there are options for all type, like the NOC 0A, B, C, D. If you are in the NOC 0A, B, you need 2 years of experience in Ontario. And if you are in the NOC C or D, you need only 9 months of experience in Ontario. Regarding Alberta, things are different. You can move within the express entry nomination, and usually how it works, you apply for the federal, and if you are not taken, you can receive a letter. If you put like you want to live in Alberta, you can receive an email or a letter from Alberta saying we want you, and that happens to some of my friends. Usually the minimum CRS score is 300, and also you need to have the minimum for the express entry eligibility. If you don't know them, I will leave the link here. I've done a video. The other program in Alberta, you have to have a job offer in the NOC 0A, B, C, D, so all the jobs are accepted, and be already employed in that job. The language test, if you are in the NOC 0A, B, will be the level 5. If you are the C or D, the level 4. Now for the job experience, you need to have 1 year experience in Alberta. That's in case you work in Alberta, or 2 years of experience within Canada or outside of Canada. Or the third option for people who graduated, who have a post-graduated work permit, they only need 6 months of experience. So here we go, guys. I explained the life in Toronto and Calgary and the immigration in Ontario and Alberta. If you have any question, let me know in the comment and I would be happy to reply.